From a waiter who drops a wedding cake at a wedding party to a young man who breaks his TV while playing golf, here are the least lucky people in the world. Let's start. This young man was in the company of a friend in this car when the urge suddenly came to get out, presumably to smell the freezing air. But to his surprise, he found his feet on the ice, which made him lose his balance. What happened next? Look, this guy then started skating on the ice a little too fast. This way, he managed to keep his balance. But running around like that, he finally used up all his strength and ended up on the ice. Ouch! It must have hurt a lot, but he eventually got up. However, this guy made the buzz on the internet thanks to this marathon on the ice and to this video which, in less than 24 hours, was viewed more than 14 million times. At a wedding, this waiter was carrying the cake and getting ready to place it in front of the bride and groom. He was, of course, hoping to live up to this important mission. Except things didn't go as planned. Look what happened to this poor waiter while he was carrying the cake. The top part came off and fell on him. What bad luck! The waiter then proceeded to hold the cake tightly to avoid another disaster. He managed to prevent the rest of the cake from collapsing, but it blocked all his movements and prevented him from taking any steps. This made him even more embarrassed while he was standing there in the middle of that stinking room. Fortunately, a lady who was among the people at the party rushed over to him to get rid of the fallen cake and help him put the cake on the table. Despite the encouraging applause of the bride and groom, this poor waiter felt a terrible embarrassment that he may never forget since. Come on, sir, it can happen to anyone. This man is standing on a frozen lake holding a golf club in his hands. Yes, as you can guess, he wants to play golf. Yes, but playing golf on a frozen lake isn't very practical and it's very risky. But never mind. This man prepares to hit the ball by calculating his movements well. Finally, he makes a nice swing, but this movement ends up breaking the ice, which then collapses under his feet. Miscalculation or bad luck? Maybe both. Look how he falls all the way into the lake. The unfortunate one. But don't worry. He was certainly helped out of there before he froze. As for his video, it has made the rounds of social networks. And this unlucky man became famous on the web in spite of himself. This will teach him to play golf on a frozen lake in the future. This Greek journalist was in a region where he had come to do a live report. Of course, he had hoped that everything would go well without any unforeseen events because, as we know, nobody is safe from the hazards of live broadcasting. However, despite all these good hopes, this man finally had no luck. While he was working, he was surprised by a big pig that started to chase him, never letting him out of his sight. Look at this. Faced with this unusual situation, the poor journalist was doing everything to escape from the big pig. Of course, he managed to dodge it each time, but this only attracted the animal even more, which seemed to be taken with the unfortunate reporter. Nevertheless, the latter continued his report as best he could, not without making his colleagues on the set laugh. Naturally, the video made the rounds of the net afterwards, and this poor reporter ended up making the buzz despite himself. This is an incident that he will never forget. Look, this motorist who was parked at this place at a given time wants to leave his parking space. But this will prove to be a little more difficult for her because she has to reverse to get on the road, which requires a lot of caution. Nevertheless, this lady takes the trouble to wait until the road becomes clear. Finally, she can reverse and get on the road. Except that this reversing will cause an accident. Well, the lane wasn't quite clear because another motorist who had just exited a garage across the street backed up at the same time and the two cars ended up colliding. Look what happened. This lady was definitely unlucky and was certainly out for longer than expected. But all's well that ends well, and this motorist surely ended up where she wanted to be after she got her problems sorted out. However, this incident taught her to be doubly careful on the road. This man was ice fishing. Naturally, he was hoping to find a nice fish and take it home. But of course, ice fishing is no easy task, and moreover, it requires a lot of patience. This man, who knows this perfectly well, waited for his turn, and his patience finally paid off because he managed to catch a nice fish. Finally, and then, after sitting there for a long time waiting for his beautiful catch, this man could finally move. But look what happened next. It seems that the evil fish took advantage of the fisherman's absence to dive back under the ice. What bad luck. You only have to look at the reaction of this fisherman to understand that he was very disappointed and very annoyed by what had just happened to him. This man probably regretted having moved from his spot, but too bad. He was going to catch another fish, even if it was going to take him a long time. What is certain, however, is that this man has since learned not to move from his spot without being absolutely certain that his caught fish was indeed dead. Look at this young man who is probably at home or in his office with his golf equipment in front of him. He's obviously hoping to play a good game, even though the place he's in is not very convenient for golf. But no matter, this young man has already prepared everything to play this game. And here he is, throwing the ball as if he were on a real golf course. What fun he must have felt hitting the ball with his club. Yes, but what a disappointment it was afterwards, because look what happened. The ball landed on the TV and broke the screen. Ouch! You can clearly imagine how this young man must have felt seeing his poor TV in that state. Well, he had no choice but to replace it. After all, this kind of incident can happen to anyone. However, this man promised himself that from that moment on, never to play golf in a closed area again. As you can see, this man is playing a virtual reality game in which he is on a very high building. We clearly guess that he is trying to find out what is going on from the top of this building and that he hopes to explore the rest of the villa. But all this seems a bit strange to him because it is indeed the first time he plays such a game. Nevertheless, he continues his game and he even listens to the advice of his friends who encourage him to throw himself into the void from the top of the building where he is. Yes, why not? Here is an excellent idea. So here he is, jumping into the void, all excited by the adrenaline rush he is already feeling. But look what happens when you jump into the void in a virtual reality game. The unlucky one ends up with his head against the TV screen. Let's hope that the screen didn't break and that the unfortunate young man didn't get hurt. Fortunately, he was not alone and his friends certainly came running to help him up. Friends. This will teach him to play with them in the future. Now let's take a look at this young employee who works in this electronics store. He finds himself in this department of TV screens that he wants to arrange in the best way possible, eager to do his job perfectly. But as you can see, he goes to so much trouble in his task. Firstly, because he is perched on his little stepladder, which doesn't help him much. And then because the different screens are connected by cables. But despite everything, the young man goes slowly. At one point, he even managed to pull a screen towards him to place it next to another one. But disaster. Look what happened when he pulled the TV screen. This young man made it fall. And soon, all the other screens fell one after the other, like dominoes. Even the poor employee fell off his stepladder while trying to hold the screen. It was definitely not his lucky day. But after his panic, this young man surely regained his composure and went to inform his managers of the damage. After all, there was nothing he could do about it, and he had no other solution than to put away the pieces of glass scattered on the floor. Not sure if he kept his job at the store though. After a good day at work, this driver was finally back home. He was probably hoping for a good night out, but he certainly wasn't expecting something unexpected right in front of his house. Look what happened when he arrived at his garage door. This motorist found himself with a stuck gas pedal, which propelled his car twice against the garage door. Let's calm down. Faced with this unexpected situation, the driver, of course, tried to take it easy on his car, including changing its trajectory. But he managed to put the car in reverse. But this only made things worse, because the car accelerated even more and spun around. Finally, this driver stopped in a state of great incomprehension. He was puzzled by what had just happened, but relieved that it didn't happen on the road. Phew! Because of this incident, he might not dare to drive that car again. Look at this young girl who seems very happy to be there on the beach. Yes, she came to have a good time, and she even wants to make some souvenir videos of this day that look like fun. Yes, but the current seems strong and the waves are particularly high, while she was expecting to swim in a calmer sea. But all in all, the current doesn't really seem to bother her, and she is determined to take a dip in the water. Watch her jump into the waves like a little girl. She even finds a lot of pleasure in it. Finally, a sea with high waves is not so bad, except that this girl is going to live a very embarrassing moment because of a strong wave that is going to hit her. And there, she will almost lose her swimsuit. But fortunately, this young girl will stay hidden underwater the time to put it back. Well, here is a very embarrassing moment that she will not forget soon. She must still feel a lot of embarrassment while watching this video. You've just seen some scenes from people who have been unlucky at some point in their lives. Which of these videos amused you the most? And then tell me, have you ever lived a moment of bad luck like these people? Tell us about it in the comments, and as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.